Welcome to the Raytown Board of Aldermen meeting, November 18th, 2014. It's opening session time and regular session 39. We have several amendments that were made to the original agenda. Amendments have been made to Resolution R272314, Exhibit A, and amendment to Bill 637514 have amended tonight's agenda. So with that, I'm going to call upon our friend Larry Cleveland to lead us in the invocation. Please.
Would you please bow with me? Creator God, ever-present and wise, we come together this evening in this season of Thanksgiving, giving you thanks for the abundant blessings you continue to pour out on us. Thanking you for our freedoms and our citizenship in this beautiful land. Thanking you for the relationships that we treasure with family, friends, and neighbors. Yet we realize this evening the need to add our voices to those also praying for peace, justice, equality, unity, and safety. May these elected city officials this evening have the blessing of your guidance and wisdom. May their deliberations and decisions consider the well-being of the citizens and their collective good as being foremost in the process. May you continue to bless the ongoing efforts of this assembly and the citizens represented. All of these things we humbly pray. Amen.
Thank you. And tonight the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by the Color Guard from Troop 469. Noah, it's yours.
Honor Guard advance. About face. Honor Guard advance. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor Guard retreat.
Thank you, Troop 469. Ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Alderman Van Buskirk.
Present.
Alderman Josh Green.
Here.
Alderman Lightfoot.
Here.
Alderman Mock.
Here.
Alderman Jason Green.
Excused.
Alderman Nelson.
Here.
Alderman Azier.
Here.
Alderman Kramer.
Here.
Alderman Ertz.
Here.
Alderman Emerson.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum. This time, if anyone would like to address the Board of Aldermen regarding any public comments that are within our control, please come forward at this time. Once, twice, three times, moving on. Communication from the mayor. I want to advise you that today we had a very successful meeting with our state legislators. The Kansas City Metro Mayor's Caucus drew state reps and state senators from our region. We had over 47 total in attendance, the largest turnout we've had yet of mayors with legislators. It was a 2-hour session. We talked a lot about common agenda items for the coming legislative year. Found it very, very beneficial, and I think it'll be a long ways to helping us, the city of Raytown, moving our legislation forward in the state of Missouri as well. So very successful meeting with that. I was happy with the turnout. And Mahesh, I'm going to yield to you.
Good evening, Mayor Bauer, Board of Aldermen. Few items tonight. The first one is a public notice for the election. Notice is hereby given that a general municipal election will be held on Tuesday, April 7th, 2015, and the following municipal offices will be elected: Mayor, City Collector, Alderman Ward 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Filing for municipal office for the City of Raytown will open on December 16, 2014 at 8 a.m. and will close January 20th, 2015 at 5 p.m. in the office of the City Clerk, Raytown City Hall, 10,000 East 59th Street, Raytown, Missouri 64133. There is a non-refundable filing fee for $50 for mayor, $35 for city collector, and $25 for alderman. In lieu of the filing fee, candidates for mayor and city collector may present a petition signed by at least 150 registered voters. Candidates for alderman may present a petition signed by at least 50 registered voters from the ward in which they will be filing. Petition form may be obtained at the office of city clerk. For the first day only, ballot order will be determined by a random drawing. After the first day, ballot order will be in order of filing. The City of Raytown offices will be closed on December 25th, 2014, and January 1st, 2015, and January 19, 2015. It's cold out there. And over the weekend, we anticipated a snow event, which fortunately did not happen. However, that particular weather forecast allowed us an opportunity to test our equipment. We have chemically treated or pre-treated our streets. It was a good check-in to see how all the systems are working. And that is an exercise that prepares us in the event a real snow does appear. We are also working with one of the local contractor to have a service of the auto mechanic during the snow event, since we are out of one mechanic. So again, I want to assure you, if and when the event does occur, we are prepared for it, and we have all the supplies and equipment and manpower ready. With that, I will conclude my report for tonight.
Thank you, sir. We'll go to community reports. I'll start on my left with Mr. Lightfoot.
No legislative report today.
Mr. Mock.
We do not have a committee report, but I would like to report on Friday, December 5th, from 6 to 7:30 p.m. will be the holiday lighting ceremony. It will be in the Pocket Park in downtown Raytown, 63rd Raytown Road. Mayor Barra will be there for the mayor's Christmas
You
tree.
doing
I also like
backflips?
to say,
Backflips?
that's mine. Let's see. Music will be provided by the Raytown High School Chamber Choir. Santa will visit at the UB Bank, plus Santa will come up 63rd Street to Pocket Park that night. And then you can visit him at the UB Bank. There will be hay rides right downtown that night. The Winter Wonderland at 63rd and Woodard Boulevard, where you can enjoy cookies and cider. The first 120 children will receive a craft kit, and Santa's elves will help you put them together. So you can bring a can or a box of food to help out Reed's Food Pantry. I'd like to thank the sponsors. First off, the volunteers of Raytown, and the other sponsors for the businesses and this and that throughout Raytown. City of Raytown, Raytown Main Street, Raytown Parks and Rec, Raytown Area Chamber of Commerce, and a great time, all these schools. Thank you.
Mr. Van Buskirk.
I'm certainly glad that our community is still celebrating the Christmas holiday together. That's great. I have nothing related to the committee I serve on. Thank you.
Mr. Hertz.
Park Board did meet last night. They're going to have a great youth basketball program. It sounds like they had over 450 students in the Raytown area sign up for the events, and looking forward to some great basketball coming.
Ms. Emerson.
The Human Relations Committee will meet this Thursday, the 20th, at 6 p.m. here at the City Hall. We'll be working on our plan for the coming year.
Ms. Melson.
No report.
Mr. Azier.
No report.
Mr. Kramer.
No report.
And Mr. Josh Green. All right, very good, thank you. This time then we'll move on to the study session. We've got the annual MetroFlex update. Our friends with the Kansas City Area Transportation Authority, led by Mr. Benson. John, you want to tee that up for gentlemen? John
Thank you,
Benson
Mayor.
is our Director of Development and Public Affairs.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Board of Aldermen. Sean Straight from the KCATA is here tonight to give a presentation on the MetroFlex service that they provide under contract with the City of Raytown and the City of Kansas City. You may recall, just to remind you, at your last meeting, we renewed that contract for the coming budget year with KCATA, and so this is a look back at the past year with some information on ridership and the operation of the system itself. So with that, I will turn it over to Sean Straight.
Welcome, Sean.
Hi, thank you, Mayor. All right, again, I'm Sean Straight with KCATA in the planning department. Kind of a quick side note, I'm technically an employee of Johnson County Transit. And so what's going on in the region is Johnson County Transit is going through a management consolidation with KCATA, which means that certain Johnson County Transit staff will transition to ATA staff, and I'm one of those. And what it means for the region is that it enables us to work more cooperatively on regional transit planning and can lead to some really exciting improvements over the next few years in terms of creating the framework to better plan transit service in our region and not just in individual communities. So we're excited about that. So in that transition time, again, I'm one of the people coming over from Johnson County Transit. The new planning director at KCATA is Chuck Ferguson, also from Johnson County. So we're excited about some opportunities to be able to work together as a region, including the service we have in Raytown as well. So just kind of a quick overview of the transit service that exists in Raytown. There's quite a bit more than just the MetroFlex route that is part of the city's contract. There are actually 4 fixed route services that are in Raytown. Some of them just kind of serve the edge of the community, but they do provide a certain measure of service to Raytown residents and employers. We have the Route 28, the Blue Ridge, the 28 Hex, which is an express route heading downtown. 152, which comes from Lee Summit up on Blue Parkway in the downtown express route. And then the 163, these all provide different levels of fixed route service in the city. Days and hours vary by route. And then, of course, the Raytown MetroFlex route, which is the route that Raytown and the City of Kansas City contract with for the ATA to provide. And as I mentioned, the service days and hours vary by route. Here's a portion of the system map with Raytown kind of highlighted here, just showing where those routes go. Kind of difficult to see, but along the west edge of the city, Blue Ridge Boulevard is where we have the 28 and 28X, kind of the light blue route and then red route. The 163 basically heads west on 63rd Street, connects up to Kansas City. And then at the far southwest corner of the map is Bannister and Drury parking right lot. That's where people can go to connect up to the True Smack, so that's a popular destination for MetroFlex riders, which I'll get into. And then at the north edge of the map is the Blue Ridge Crossing, where people can connect to other fixed routes, Route 31 in particular. So So more about the actual contract between the ATA and Raytown. As I mentioned, Raytown doesn't pay for any of the fixed routes, as 3 of the routes are part of Kansas City's contract. The 152 is a route that Lee Summit pays for, and Raytown does pay for a portion of the cost of the 253, the Raytown Metroflex. That contract is currently a November through October contract. It's a 12-month contract. As John mentioned, that was just recently renewed, and the amount for this year, for the 2014-15, was about $56,000, and that's come down quite a bit from previous years due to reductions in service that the ATA has worked with the city, I believe. Looking back at some of the past contracts, 2009, 2010, some of those amounts were above 100,000, so quite a bit less service than previously existed. So here's a map of the Raytown Metroplex. It basically covers the entire city limits as well as it's extending to the south and the north, basically providing riders an opportunity to connect up to the fixed route services on Bannister Road and Blue Ridge Crossing. So the Metroflex, it used to operate basically all-day service. Now it only operates basically during the morning and afternoon rush hours between 6 and 10 a.m. and 2:30 and 6:30 p.m. There's a phone number people can call 24 hours in advance to book a trip. That's how the Metroflex service works. There is standing order available, which basically means if you have to go to the same place at the same time every Tuesday and Thursday, you can basically pre-book those trips and not have to call to each individual trip. The fare is $1.50 or $50 for a monthly pass, and reduced fares are offered for elderly residents, $25 for a month. So here's the latest data on ridership. It says service hours, but this is just ridership data. As I mentioned, service was reduced, I believe, around 2010 and again in 2012, so you'll see the ridership numbers are down quite a bit since those years. And that's basically, the route used to operate with 2 buses, 2 vehicles that operated during these hours. Now there's only 1 and it operates the peak hour service. So that's basically the reason for the ridership. Now the ridership for the amount of service that exists is very good. It's actually our most efficient Metroflex route in terms of riders per service hour. And the route is actually at capacity most days. I'll get into that a little more. Looking back, we've had some of our dispatchers track some of the trips they've had to deny basically because of the capacity constraints. And we're finding that around 3 trips per day on average will be denied because there just isn't enough capacity. The capacity issues are usually related to the location of each trip and the time of the trip, not necessarily the number of seats on the vehicle. We operate the minibuses, and although the seats can be full, usually it's a case where, they're within 6 and 10 a.m. and 2:30 and 6:30 p.m. Trips on the different parts of the city, it just doesn't work out to where all those trips can be provided. So that's the nature of the capacity constraint. Having a second vehicle would obviously help a lot in that situation. So most of the trips, they are standing trips. They're trips that people are making for work primarily or doctor's appointments. Trips that are consistent on a daily basis or a weekly basis. The bulk of the trips on the route are those standing trips. Most of the trips are made by working adults and seniors, mostly to work, the doctor, or to connect to the fixed routes, which crossing or Bannister. So really, most of the trips are really for those 3 purposes. Popular destinations, and I do have a map after this slide. You can look at this in a little more detail, but we've talked about Blue Ridge, Bannister, Drury with the Truce Max. Also, 63rd and Blue Ridge Boulevard with the Price Chopper and Quick Trip, we're finding that those are popular destinations as well. And then other locations, kind of randomly along Blue Parkway, you'll see kind of a linear fashion. And this map basically shows the pickup and drop-off locations that we typically see on Metroflex. You can see the big dots are at the Price Chopper there, 63rd and Blue Ridge, and then the Walmart at Blue Ridge Crossing, and then on Bannister. We also see quite a bit of activity along Blue Parkway and along 87th Street. And if Raytown is ever interested in a fixed route service, you could kind of look at this map and maybe think about what that might look like in terms of where we currently see the ridership. Something on 87 connecting up through downtown, and then up to the Walmart might be something that makes sense, or a service on Blue Parkway. Blue Parkway does have the express route heading into downtown, but it's fairly limited service. It's just, early morning and evening peak hour service at this point. So that's all I have. I'll open up any questions or comments.
Ms. Melson?
I do want to kind of echo what Sean said about there's a great collaborative effort that's going on with the transportation providers in Kansas City. We've met the Mobility Access Committee, the MAC Committee with Mark, and also on the Eastern Jackson County side with the Truman Heartland Mobility Access Committee. And I think it's one of the first times that I've kind of seen everybody getting in the room and coming together and thinking that we can work together to work on the transportation issues, not only in my area for older adults, but also for everybody, because that is something that is very needed. And I'm really happy to see, whether it's Johnson County Services or, the Metroflex or whoever, we're all sitting down at the table and we're trying to figure this out. So I've been very encouraged in the last year and all the meetings that I've attended to really see that progress forward. So, and I look forward to a lot more progress too.
Thank you, Ms. Stu.
Mr. Azure, your light's on. Do you want to say something, sir?
I'm sorry, no.
Okay. Mr. Lightfoot?
Well, I was curious on your ridership and the about 40 rides a day, I think is what it said. Is there any way that you track, for instance, how many of those are senior citizen users?
Yeah, I think we could get that data. I don't know off the top of my head. I know a fair amount are. I don't know if it's more than half or not. I mentioned that most are either working adults or seniors. I don't know exactly what that breakdown is. We could probably look at a reduced fare if you're over the age of 65 and eligible for reduced fare. And by looking at that, we'd probably get an idea of how many are seniors.
Right, so it'd probably be easy enough to find. I was just curious on that. I would think that probably is a big part of it. Thanks.
Mr. Van Buskirk?
Well, it's unfortunate that we're not able to hear the update prior to renew the contract. That would have been preferential, certainly. I understand that due to circumstances, you're not able to make a presentation.
Yes, I'm not aware of the background and when the meetings typically occur. I know there's some contact with other AD staff. And so, yeah, I don't know typically what the time frame is. So, we'll certainly note that for future years.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Alderman. The 152 route that goes, originates in Lee Summit and morning, goes downtown and Crown Center and reverses that. Does that still stop at Raytown?
It does. Yes.
Where are those stops?
Well, there's a stop at, actually I have a schedule here. Now, there's not any facility, but there is a sign. It's at Westridge. So it's right there on the highway. It's not a good facility, but it will stop there. It is a time point on the schedule.
Coming in and leaving it be around west, right there, west region. So there's no parking available. Correct. You don't think one's utilizing that at all?
I can find out. We can get ridership data on that. And I doubt that it's very well used simply because it's kind of a difficult location to board. There's not any parking. So it's probably not very well utilized, but I'm sure somebody works it.
Well, when we did have facilities for parking, we had quite a few people who were using it on a fairly regular basis at one point in time because I used to use it. So, that feet at a time. I don't think I have my mic on. I'm sorry.
Don't start over again.
We have new buttons. Have you heard anything I said?
I heard you. You're good.
Good, thank you. Did you say start over again?
No, I said don't start over again.
This is something that I think I ask every year, and certainly it's not up to us to increase fees, but that would be up to the Area Transit Authority to make that determination. It's going to do that. But I'm curious as to if that's being considered to assist in reducing the amount of subsidies the taxpayers are having to pay to operate the system.
Fees, you mean the fare on the route? Yeah, so there's a regional fare study that's underway right now with ATA and other regional providers are basically looking at alternative ways for fare structure. Increasing fares is one of the things that's on the table.
Okay.
Yeah, so that'll be going on. I don't know exactly when that will wrap up, but sometime in 2015 that process will wrap up and we'll have a better idea.
Well, I think it might be fair for the users to, help assist in the increases that, we've had over the years, along with the rest of the taxpayers that are paying for it, that help subsidize it. Do you know if there are any high school students that utilize that service?
I don't think that there are, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
I had understood at one point in time there were some that might be using that. I was just curious if that was still happening. Okay, that's all my questions. Thank you.
Other questions? Ms. Emerson? Your mic's off as well.
You said that Westridge was the stop on 350. Is there any possibility that could be moved to a place where there's parking so more people would utilize the bus?
We could have those discussions. We would want to work with the city in figuring out a good location and working with property owners if there's any interest in that. Private property, private owner allowing us to use their parking lot. The city would be willing to help, fund some improvements, whether it be put up a shelter or sidewalk or something like that. So we're certainly open to that discussion.
Thank you.
Just to add to that, we are looking at, or have over the past 2 or 3 years, maybe 4 years, been looking for an alternative location to the Westridge area, and at this point, it would have to be on privately owned property, and we have not found a property or a location where it works for both the morning and the evening location for the bus to get off and back onto the highway conveniently and quickly to maintain its timing, and then also a property owner at those locations that is willing to enter an agreement to allow the bus to park in that location to be located on the property. So that will continue to look or keep our eyes open.
I think last year this time, as I recall, and I counted the cars in the lot as I went by every morning as well, and it was typically about 7 cars in the lot on average when we were using that Power Sport location. We had agreement with Power Sport. There was like 7 cars, and at that time I had to wonder how many of those cars were actually Raytown citizens. And when you get 7 cars lined up and you wonder about how many of them are actually Raytown citizens, it's a little hard to justify money for shelters and whatnot for buying property. So it was a tough call, and certainly Westridge, standing along the highway, is not a desired thing for our residents or other residents from other cities to use. But that's where it currently stands. Hopefully we'll get more activity from bus riders, and we'll see more of this city, the citizens of Raytown using the bus more as the continued ATA ridership increases and you're better able to get from areas like Raytown to even the Sprint Center for such events more easily. So we look for those to be changed and improved with the revised KCATA.
To add to that, there is a park and ride on the 28X route, which is the express route on Blue Ridge cutoff, that goes into the downtown, that basically gets to the same point as the Route 152 goes to in downtown. So just make everybody aware of that. So there is another option available to Raytown residents that need to use the bus on that. Well, so and then lastly, the bus maps or bus route information that that you see here on the table before you can be picked up also here at City Hall and at the Finance Department windows.
And I'll leave these behind in case anybody wants them.
Other questions? Mr. Green?
I was just curious if there was a way.
Mic on.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
It's on there. Apparently, it's so much wrong now. So I was just wondering if there's a way that we can see if there's like of our average daily riders or have standing orders, or there's not, or anything like that.
Yeah, I can certainly get that data. I know that most are, I don't know exactly what the percentage is, but more than half are standing riders.
Just curiosity. Thanks.
Sean, thank you. Mr. Mock, you got anything else? You what?
Oh, yeah.
I'm asking you, sir, do you want to speak?
I do now.
Then have at it.
Okay. Hey, got a question. We've been discussing Westridge, okay? And does that bus line go on to Lee Summit there from Westridge, going 350 Highway East to Lee Summit? Okay, that bus line never turns there at Westridge, go back to 350 Highway westbound?
It stays on 350 Highway. I mean, it's a commuter express route heading into downtown in the morning and out in the afternoon.
Honestly, that is a very dangerous spot, okay? That's a turn lane they're pulling off into, okay? And that's where they're loading that bus at, you know, and I've seen it happen. And if there's any possible way to get that moved out of there, that would be great. We do need that done. I mean, I understand we're looking for a spot, but for the safety of people at that intersection, when they're coming down that hill, especially into this type of season we're into, where there's winter season, this and that, a lot of wrecks at that intersection, so I'm very worried about that. Okay, see about getting something else taken care of there.
Okay, we'll look into it.
Mr. Van Buskirk.
One more comment. The mayor talked about the number of vehicles in the lot, but I know when I rode the express bus, a lot of times spouses or other people would not frequent home, so you can't necessarily determine by vehicle parked in the lot how many people are on the bus. Some that don't park there.
The other thing that was interesting, though, was when they ran a check on it, how many of them were actually Raytown residents. And still the majority of the people that were using that lot were not Raytown residents. So. Okay. Anything else? Sean, thank you. Appreciate your time. John, anything else you want to add on that, sir?
I have nothing further.
All right, perfect. Thank you. We'll move on to the legislative agenda at this time, then. We have ask the clerk to perform the reading on item number 1, please. You do have an amended agenda.
Second.
Okay, for both amendments?
To accept the amendment. Yes.
Okay, very good. The motion has been made and seconded to accept the amended agenda for tonight's deliberations. Any discussion on that? Ask clerk to call the vote, please.
Alderman Kramer?
Yes.
Alderman Ertz?
Yes.
Alderman Van
Yes.
Alderman Josh Green?
Yes.
Alderman Asia?
Yes.
Alderman Mott?
Yes.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Emerson?
Yes.
Alderman Langford?
Yes.
With that behind us now, I ask the clerk to perform the reading on item number 1, please.
Resolution authorizing and approving an agreement for medical director services between David R. Guscio and the City of Raytown, Missouri.
Invite forward Doug Jonesy, the Emergency Medical Services Director. Doug, welcome.
Thank you. As you all are aware, the state of Missouri requires us to have a physician medical director for emergency medical services. As well, the Raytown Fire Protection District for their medical operations, the contract agreement between the two agencies must use the same medical director as we do. So This year, we were looking for a change, and rather than continue with Dr. Richardson, opted to go with Dr. Gustafson. Because the fire district has to use the same medical director, as you can see, I sought Chief Ennis's concurrence on the matter, and as you can see from the letter appended, very wholeheartedly and enthusiastically gave it concurrence. Dr. Gustafson is very well respected in the EMS community. Is very well liked both by administrators and the rank and file in the various EMSs that he oversees as physician medical director. From 1989 to 2011, he was an emergency physician at the Summit Medical Center. As such, many retail citizens in the emergency room are familiar with our situation and operation here. Very, very glad to have you on board.
Questions of Mr. Jonassy? Mr. Kramer's got the motion to approve, second by Ms. Melson. Discussion before we vote on item number 1. Call the vote, please.
Alderman Kramer?
Yes.
Alderman Nelson?
Yes.
Alderman Emerson?
Yes.
Alderman Ertz?
Yes.
Alderman Dutchby?
Yes.
Alderman Lester?
Yes.
Alderman Asia?
Yes.
Alderman Lightfoot?
Yes.
Alderman Mott?
Yes.
Dr. Gustafson, thank you for serving. Appreciate your willingness to help the city of Raytown, sir. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Ask the clerk to perform the reading on item number 2, please.
A resolution authorizing and approving an agreement for inmate security housing services by and between Johnson County, Missouri Sheriff's Office and the City of Raytown, Missouri for fiscal year 2014-2015 in an amount not to exceed $175,000.
Ask Jim Lynch if he has anything to add to this, sir.
We're asking for board approval on resolution to spend $50,000 for city policy with one vendor. We have a current contract for inmate housing with Johnson County, Missouri Sheriff's Department. The total budget is $175,000.
Questions of Mr. Lynch?
Motion to approve. Second.
Mr. Asia's got the motion to approve, second by Mr. Kramer. Discussion before we vote on item number 2. Mr. Mock. Ms. Melson.
Is the cost of $34.50 per day, is that relative to what it was last year?
It's a current contract, so this contract was in effect April 29, 2013, so it's a current contract.
Oh, and so it's
We're
just,
just asking for board approval for the threshold of $50,000. It's a budgeted amount.
okay,
So it's the same,
So
it's
the
the
question-
same amount.
So it's the same amount as money as last year, then, is the answer. Okay.
okay.
Yeah, the only thing that the board approved that might, we don't know yet, but we added an ordinance to add on a $2, I believe it's a $2 fine recently at a board meeting for booking that might offset some of the costs. Until we just started collecting money, so we don't know how much it will be projected. That might be the area. This is something the board just started, but it may not be total.
Okay. Okay.
Further discussion? Mr. Van Buskirk?
We already have a motion.
We have a motion and a second, yes, sir.
Are we going to utilize our green lights to be recognized, or are we just going to yell out when we make a motion?
Well, when you guys figure out the green lights, I mean, right now they're popping on and off, so until that's straightened out, we'll go as we have been. Okay? We got light issues tonight. Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. With no further discussion, call the vote, please.
Alderman Asia?
Yes.
Alderman Kramer?
Yes.
Alderman Ertz?
Yes.
Alderman Emerson?
Yes.
Alderman Joshby?
Yes.
Alderman Nelson.
Yes.
Alderman Mott.
Yes.
Alderman Lightfoot.
Yes.
Alderman Metzger.
Yes.
Thank you, Jim. Ask clerk to perform the second reading on item number 3, please.
An ordinance approving the First Amendment to the redevelopment contract between Raytown Community Betterment Redevelopment Corporation and the City of Raytown, Missouri, Partner Stark Assisted Living Redevelopment Project, as adopted by ordinance number 4193-96.
Bring back up John Benson, our Director of Development and Public Affairs. John, anything you'd like to add, sir?
Just very briefly, I'd just like to provide some clarification to some of the discussion at last week's meeting. The amendment that's before you, the new owners of Elliott Place are requesting 4 amendments to the redevelopment contract. And I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page with what those amendments relate to. The first is to clarify and define the term assisted living apartment units, so that it includes independent living apartment units, assisted living apartment units, memory care, skilled nursing apartment units. The second amendment, that Phase 3 will consist of the construction of 48 assisted living apartment units, which represents an increase of 24 additional units from the number of assisted living apartment units stated in the redevelopment contract dated May 9th, 97. Excuse me. This increase of 24 units also requires approval of an amendment to the development plan for Elliott Place, which requires review and an action by the Planning Commission, as well as approval of an amended development plan by the Board of Aldermen. So that's another application. At such point, if they want to increase it from 24 to 48, that will come back through for your review and approval at a later date. Third is that the city does not find Phase 2 and Phase 3 to be in default of the redevelopment contract, and therefore is still eligible to receive tax abatement upon construction of these 2 phases. And 4, to extend the time frame of construction of Phase 2 and 3 to be completed within 5 years from the date of approval of this requested amendment. And then 5, extension of the abatement period for Phase 2 and 3 for an additional period of 5 years, thereby extending the abatement period through tax year 2022 in accordance with the settlement agreement with Jackson County dated November 7th, 2001. Also included in your packet tonight is a copy of that settlement for your reference. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Also, Ken Blom is here from Stratford Development Corporation. If you have any questions for him.
Questions of Mr. Benson at this time? Mr. Van Buskirk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have a question, and really is something that could have been posed to the new the individual who wants to buy this, and the group who wants to purchase it. But how far to the east does that property go? Does it go all the way over to?
Where the existing buildings of Elliott Place that have been constructed, directly to the east of those buildings, there's I believe it's a blue house, 2-story building. It includes those buildings and that other, what I'll call house, which is actually an office.
So the property, the vacant land to the east of that, all the way to Overton, someone else owns that?
That's correct. That's under different ownership, and it's not a part of this redevelopment contract.
Very good. Thank you.
What are you thinking behind the Chevy dealership, sir?
No, I'm thinking over to Overton Apartments in that area. There's been an area in there that has a lot of brush and weeds, and some cleanup has been done there, but I was curious.
Yeah, I think that's, I think I know what you're talking about. That's behind the Chevy dealership, old Chevy dealership, and I believe the electrical company there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Ms. Emerson? Your mic's not on. Ms. Emerson's got the motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kramer. Mr. Blum, anything you'd like to add, sir?
Not unless there's questions.
Okay. We're into discussion. Got a motion and a second. No further discussion? Ask clerk to call the vote, please.
Alderman Forrester.
Yes.
Alderman Mott.
Yes.
Alderman Botchfree.
Yes.
Alderman Lightfoot.
Yes.
Alderman Nelson,
Yes.
Alderman Kramer,
Yes.
Alderman Asia,
Yes.
Alderman Earth,
Yes.
Alderman Debuster,
Yes.
I should say Teresa. I don't think I got the second. It was Joe Kramer, if I remember right. Did you call my name? Oh, you called my name.
You're hearing things.
Did you? Okay. Okay. Sorry.
All right, very good. Item 3 being concluded, that completes our agenda for tonight. Am I correct on that, Ms. City Clerk? Wonderful. To be out of here by 8 o'clock, I don't know what to do with ourselves. You guys do, though. Motion to adjourn? Moved and seconded to adjourn tonight's meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.